Mystic Vale is a refreshingly creative and innovative deck builder that may struggle to appeal to the individual gamer due to a lack of single-player content. Mystic Vale is an earnest recreation of the tabletop version and plays very similar to the deck building original Dominion that most people are probably familiar with. Players represent druidic clans attempting to reclaim barren lands for nature. Players each start with identical decks and then take turns spending resources to buy cards from a communal pool. These cards provide some combination of basic resources, victory points, special resources to buy more impactful Vale cards that typically are worth several victory points and aren't shuffled into your main deck, or they have some special ability. And many cards also bear a red symbol of decay, which is the primary mechanic to manage because decay determines your hand size. Players draw cards each turn until 3 of these red symbols are face up. Play continues until enough victory points have been accumulated by all players, and the individual, of course, with the most points wins. Where Mystic Vale really distinguishes itself is that it is more than just a deck builder, it is a card builder. Most of the cards in the starting deck are blanks. Instead of buying whole new cards, you purchase elements to paste onto the cards. Each card may hold up to 3 components, one top, middle, and bottom. Some components interact with other components on the same card. For example, many cards have guardian symbols that only interact with abilities of other cards that go to that, or other components that go to that card. This mechanic is interesting and innovative. Every time you buy, instead of just shuffling cards in your deck and then you draw, 5 cards and then do what you can with them, you have to decide how to really deploy your tools. Do you want to stack elements on a few cards for really big turns, or do you spread them out for more consistency, or do you pursue individually impactful elements, or really try to get together combos and interactions? So this provides an additional layer of tactics and strategy that I feel kind of been missing from the genre. Mystic Vale also provides a little RNG-dependent risk-taking. When that third decay symbol is revealed, players may choose to push it into play and reveal a new card. If that card does not have a decay symbol, then you got away with it, and you get an extra card into play. But if that extra card does have a decay symbol, and you wind up with 4 face up, then your turn is immediately over. There is a small mechanic where there isn't all bad. You do get a bonus resource for your next turn, but obviously missing a whole turn is kind of a big deal. But sometimes you really need those extra resources. If you're behind, sometimes you can turn a bad turn into a really huge turn. So that's a nice factor to consider when you're playing, is how much risk you want to take, especially because some of the cards have the decay. So how many decay symbols have you put in your deck? How likely are you to see one when you flip? So despite my praise, though, Mystic Vale is a pretty lonely experience. You don't interact. Players don't really interact with each other. Cards, there's no attack cards or any such thing where interact with other players in any way. The UI is pretty clear for what you're doing, but if you're trying to keep track of what other players have going on, cycling through the perspectives is kind of cumbersome. You're really just racing. It's a blind race. You're racing for points. You see how many points other people have, of course, but you're just racing alone for points. And that is one thing I would kind of like to. That's not even the video game version, right? Of course, that's just inherent to the design of the base game, is that it's not a lot of interaction. And then that goes further, because in the video game that we're talking about, only 2 modes are available. You either skirmish against AI or venture into the barren multiplayer server list. AI games, they're fine, they're fast, and they're fairly challenging, especially on the higher difficulties. But the multiplayer population is pretty low. So I would recommend recruiting some friends if you want to play online. And I would love some sort of really simple campaign, primitive narrative, or a puzzle mode or something for some more value to a single player experience. Mystic Vale is a digital translation of a creative deck builder that focuses on a card building mechanic that I'd love to see more of, but low player population, absence of single player content makes it impossible for me to recommend unless you have a group of friends willing to buy in with you. And of course, Mystic Vale available now on Steam for $14.99.